Hello, we are students of the Lighthouse School in Southern California. Our school educates students with different learning needs, and we learn a lot by understanding and sharing our own personal strengths and challenges.
We want to share some of our experiences to teach kids our age about different learning challenges. We also want to give advice to parents and teachers that teach kids who, like us, don't always learn things the typical way. I am a 12-year-old who is diagnosed with autism. Autism is a developmental disability that impairs the ability to communicate and socialize. Some people have severe autism, some have mild autism, and some have an in-the-middle autism diagnosis. People with autism may exhibit repetitive actions such as spinning, telling the same jokes, and repeating quotes from books and movies. There are a lot of people with autism who are nonverbal or have very low communication skills. Many people with autism have a hard time reading social cues, interpreting body language, and understanding figurative language. Also, many people with autism can be self-harming. This may be in stressful situations or by impulse. Examples of self-harming behavior are scratching, slapping, or pulling hair. All of this depends on how severe the person's autism is, because not every person with autism is the same. Another thing to know about autism is that 10% of people with autism have savant abilities. Savant abilities are extraordinary abilities that some people possess. Abilities such as memory, artistic talent, spelling, math, and playing a musical instrument are examples of savant abilities. I was diagnosed with autism at 2.5 years old. At that time, I used very few words. As a toddler, I never asked questions. I was very quiet, and I only used language to label things instead of to communicate. I was more content playing alone. I didn't look people in the eye when they talked to me, and I didn't initiate play or communication with others. Over the years, I worked very hard to overcome these challenges, and a lot of people helped me. When working with kids with autism, you should never assume things. Just because a kid with autism may not have good social skills doesn't mean that they don't want to have friends. Also, kids with autism have emotions just like everyone else, and just because they may not show emotions doesn't mean that they don't have feelings and remember how others treat them. Here are some suggestions for working with students with autism. Remember to give students with autism your patience, and if you find out that your student has autism and the way you treat them is great enough, don't treat them any differently. And 3, don't talk down to kids with autism or lower your expectations. And 4, be aware that they may take things very literally, so you need to think about your words and change your way to say something if you are not understood. And be honest and give kids with autism feedback and encouragement to help them communicate, learn, and socialize at their own pace.
At a young age, I was identified as having dyslexia. For those of you who are not aware of the term, here is a simple explanation. Dyslexia is a learning disability that impacts one's ability to read, spell, and recognize words and symbols. It's not seeing words backwards, like many people assume, but a processing problem. It's not that people with dyslexia have trouble seeing words, they have trouble analyzing them. This is something a lot of people in America don't know, and it's not a crucial bit of information for everyone, but all of America's educators should know this. I am very lucky to have the experience that I did with my learning disability. Although it was harder for me to learn and I often got frustrated with the way I am, I had very few negative encounters with teachers. I know many people with dyslexia are not as lucky as I am. I have good teachers and I am able to cope and deal with my dyslexia so that it does not limit my learning. If you are an educator watching this video and you don't fully understand what is going on inside your students' minds, hopefully you will learn something from watching this video. Dyslexia is different in different people. You can't just say someone has dyslexia just because they're not a good reader. Professional psychologists diagnosed dyslexia when I was still having trouble with reading. The way my previous school handled it made me feel very different. Being put in special classes without any explanation or efforts to see the way I learn affected my social skills, which led to me feeling isolated. Teachers lowered their expectations for me based on my reading difficulties, but I'm a person who loves to learn new things, and the way my teachers were teaching it to me simply felt too easy and bland for me. I was not enjoying learning and would try everything to avoid school. Now, obviously, this school worked for a lot of people, but it just wasn't the right fit for me. I am very fortunate that my family was able to provide resources to me and make learning a more fun experience for me. But for families who are not able to provide these resources, teachers must be understanding and learn what is going on inside their students' heads. What I wish educators knew about dyslexia is that not every person with dyslexia learns the same way. To help a student who is struggling with reading, you can use these following suggestions. Learn how your students' brains work and help them where they need help. Maybe they need help remembering words and sounding them out. Find out what they need. Number 2, it helped me to give my letters and numbers personalities. Find whatever interests your students and make learning fun. Number 3, teach concepts through many methods, including hands-on learning, videos, discussions, and other techniques. Number 4, have your students talk about what they visualize when they read. This can help them focus more on meaning and less on just figuring the difficult words out. Number 5, above all, remember that dyslexia is a real challenge, and your students need your understanding.
Hi, my name is Layla and I have mood and anxiety disorders. I was diagnosed a few months ago and it was a bit troubling. However, it did explain a lot, and if I had known before, it really would have helped with some things. For me, I have generalized anxiety disorder, which is when a person cannot control worries that come into their brain, and major depressive disorder, which is when someone is depressed for no external reason and has one or more major depressive episodes. Being a teenager in school, anxiety and depression had a tendency to affect my schoolwork, and as time went on, my grades dropped. Sometimes I'd be so depressed I would skip my homework altogether, which definitely didn't help. I remember my teachers telling me how disappointed they were, and that didn't help either. My anxiety distracted me from paying attention in class. I remember being so worried about break time and what people would think of me, and I would think things that weren't plausible would for sure happen. Because only 10% of children have a serious mental illness, it may be hard for teachers to understand what goes behind the mask. Depression does not mean I'm lazy, and anxiety does not mean I don't care what you're talking about. These things are not necessarily just a phase that teenagers go through. They can be mental illnesses, and people may need professional help and understanding from teachers to get better. To help students who are dealing with mood disorders, I think teachers should do the following. 1. Let kids take breaks if they're anxious or worried, or if they're depressed and unmotivated. With a short break, those students can get it together and go back to class ready to learn. Number 2, remind anxious students that everything is okay and that they're safe. Number 3, listen and be flexible. If someone doesn't do their homework and is dealing with a mood disorder, a teacher's response could be, try again next time, I believe you can do it. Number 4, be understanding and supportive, because we all make mistakes and we all have problems. I hope this message has given some education on mental illness in young people and that everyone can learn something from it. In our selfish world, many people don't really care about mental illness, and some people don't even believe it's real. I think this is because it hasn't happened to them or someone they love. But if we can all care about each other and listen to everyone's viewpoints, one day things like mental illness won't be such a problem in our world.
ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. ADHD is a long-term neurodevelopmental disorder causing inattentiveness and/or hyperactivity depending on what type. People can have inattentive type, hyperactive/impulsive type, or combined type.
Symptoms of ADHD include not paying attention in class, fidgeting, making careless mistakes, struggling to follow directions, losing things, getting distracted, and avoiding activities that require sustained mental energy.
According to CHADD.org, 11% of school-aged kids have ADHD. This disorder isn't an excuse for poor participation or low-quality work. You can still have high expectations for your students with ADHD.
I was diagnosed with combined type ADHD when I was 8, and my behaviors often frustrated adults and alienated my peers. When I was younger, I would lose track of time and read for the whole class period instead of doing other work. I rolled on the rug and made silly sounds while everyone else was working. I would play with school materials instead of using them for their purpose. My desk was always messier than everyone else's, and I had trouble staying on topic. I still have trouble staying on topic now, and I sometimes have trouble keeping my things tidy. Medication has helped me at different times, but it's definitely not for everyone. I've benefited from lots of other tools in teaching. There are a lot of ways to help kids with ADHD learn. Some suggestions I have are to let them move around while learning and by doing things such as standing, fidgeting, doodling, chewing gum, using a swivel chair, and so on. 2. Create a visual task chart and use visual timers to help your students with ADHD complete tasks. 3. Create a behavior chart to help them work on specific challenges. And 4. Allow your students with ADHD to take a short break from work when needed. And 5. Use hands-on learning activities to engage your students and support their understanding. 6. If the way you teach your student with ADHD isn't effective, try using a different teaching method. And 7. Give honest feedback on their behavior, but let them know that you know they're trying their best.
We hope this video has helped you understand some of the learning challenges that kids might deal with. Please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to join us as we give our perspectives on other important topics.